for those of you who don't know me, I am the National Grange Communications Director, and I'm really excited to welcome you all to our second Zoom-torial. Our first one, if you missed it, was back in October. We did a Zoom-torial on how to create a Facebook page for your Grange, which briefly dipped into Canva that we're going to cover tonight. If you want to go back and watch it, it's on our YouTube channel, which is just youtube.com/nationalgrange. Has everything there from our national session as well. I also want to introduce one of our communication fellows tonight who's with us. Carolyn, do you want to introduce yourself?
Hi, everyone. I'm Carolyn Chamley. I'm the, I was selected as a fellow for Nevada this year. Got to go to the convention and got a crash course in everything. I'm a lecturer for our Grange here at Battleborth and Stocktonwell Grange, and we're looking at putting on, I'll be in charge of 8 shows this year, ranging from horses to goats to rabbits to public speaking. So these guys are keeping me pretty busy.
Great. Thank you, Carolyn. Carolyn's going to be our moderator tonight. Once I start screen sharing, it's a little hard for me to be able to watch everything that's going on. So she's going to be putting you in timeout if you misbehave. But she's also going to be kind of watching all of our comments, making sure that I'm keeping up with the thread as we're going if people have questions. I will say I will try to work through things as slowly as possible, but this will, like I said, be up on YouTube, so you'll be able to watch it. If you need to look at a step a couple times again, you can just follow through later on YouTube, or you can ask me to go back, show you where that button was again. I'm happy to make this as easy as possible for everyone involved. So I'm going to start sharing my screen. Okay, so the website we're talking about tonight is canva.com. I was introduced to Canva back in 2016 by some librarian friends who said it was their favorite way to design things. There are several different levels of Canva that you can get. I will be showing everything from the pro side tonight, which is the paid option. There is a free option, which works very well. I actually use the free option for Pennsylvania Junior Grange right now, rather than using my national account, so I can keep all of my work separate from each other. So Canva, you can use it for free. A couple Granges could band together and pay for it. A 1-year subscription for a standard subscription is $119, which is a pretty solid investment. If your state has a 501c3 arm, there are ways that you can get subscriptions for free as well through being a 501c3 nonprofit. So to start there, I'm on the login screen right now. I already have my account. If you want to create an account tonight and try to follow along, go right ahead. But you don't need to until you get in. So when you log into Canva, this is the first thing you see, which is your, what I call design home. And this is kind of where every design you've ever made lives. So some of these may look very familiar to you because this is where I design all of our Facebook posts for the National Grange. A lot of things that end up in Good Day magazine are designed in here. Our social media logos. Up here a little bit, there were the business cards that I just made for a couple people. Certificates. This is my go-to for design. I don't have formal training in Photoshop or InDesign. I teach myself those things as I need to. And this is what I call Photoshop for dummies, because I promise everything is very simple, very editable. There are a lot of different ways that you can take Canva. You can design everything on Canva, from social media to flyers, especially I think are important for Grange members, posters. I know Carolyn has a booming business in the poster trade through Canva. Some of the larger posters you saw at National Session this year, or may have seen at regional conferences, I know Amanda has designed on Canva. So there are a lot of different ways that you can use this site. And the first thing I'm going to show you actually is how to start with a template. There is absolutely no shame in grabbing a template and editing it. And that's what Canva is made for primarily, actually, is to have you start with something incredibly simple and edit it in just the ways that you need it to be edited. That's adding your name in, swapping out some logos, changing colors. I scroll through Facebook daily. It's part of my job, but it's really cool for me that as I've been using this over the past 7 years now, that I recognize Canva templates, but for people who aren't in here every day, they certainly wouldn't. Because it's just a cleaner professional look than, people who are still designing things in Microsoft Word or PowerPoint, or I've seen a couple people still using Microsoft Paint, which I would recommend you move away from, because this is a free option for you. So somebody give me something. Like I said, this is audience participation. And what's something that you would like to start with for creation? Whether it's a flyer, Facebook post, something. Somebody shout something out.
National Goat Day.
National Goat Day. Okay. You're gonna make this hard on me right away. So we're gonna start, and I'm gonna guess it's gonna be a Facebook post, right? Okay, so I went, let me back up here a step. The search bar here is great. You can just click right in it and it auto-fills a whole bunch of stuff for you. So your design option, I just went straight to Facebook post. The generic Facebook post is landscape. So that's what we're going to start with. And now I'm going to search to see if there's anything on National Goat Day.
We also have a suggestion for a brochure in the chat, Phil.
Oh, brochure, I missed that one. Okay, let's go to brochure then, because let's see what we get for brochure. Trifold brochures, there's hundreds of them. Trisha asked, are there more templates in the paid option compared to the free option? There's more, the same templates are available between the two. There's just different ways that you can edit. You can see that I'm hovering over this one here in the middle that's kind of flopping around, called Beige Fun Abstract. And it has this little crown down in the corner, which means that this is a pro template, which just really means that there are pro elements to it that can be edited out and put back. So I'm going to go to this one, this navy and white one, because I like those colors. And we're here in a trifold template. So this is actually a pretty hard one to start with, but that's okay. We'll go with it. What we see here, the far right side is the front cover. This middle panel is your back cover. This left panel is your inside flap. And then this is the second page. This is the full laid out inside of your brochure. The first thing that I want to show you here is that this little guy up here is meant to be your logo. So in the chat box, I'm going to type a link for you. And this is to get you to all of the Grange logos that you have the option to use. So it's bit.ly/Grange logos, and it's important that the G and the L are capitalized. And that's going to bring you to this page. So this Grange Logos site has all of the approved logos from the National Grange that you can now use for your designs. And it's very simple to download off of here, off of the Google Drive, and put into Canva. If you see the ones that are showing up with the checkered background, that means it's transparent, which means it's the easiest to use in Canva whenever you take it there. And when you go to edit something in your document, on the left side, there's this great button called Uploads, where you can upload any image of any sort. So I am going to go to my Grange Logos folder and upload a new Grange logo into my Canva design. And all you have to do is then click on whatever's in your left column, whatever's in your uploads. Clicking on it will drop it right into your design. So I now have the Grange logo, and you see that it comes with this purple box around it. And this is where it works the same as resizing something in a Microsoft Word document or anything that any kind of image design work that you may have done before. If you haven't, it's pretty intuitive. Clicking and dragging the corners resizes the whole object together. Clicking and dragging a side or the top or bottom kind of crops it in. And that would give me half of a Grange logo, which is not an acceptable use of the Grange logo. So we're going to take our Grange logo, we're going to resize it. And then this is what I call a drag and drop editor, which is a very simple way. You just have to click and drag and take it to where you want it to be. There are multiple levels of things. So every new item you add to a document becomes a new top level. So this logo is now the top level, which is why it's covering up what's beneath it, which was that logo little circle person, which again, you click on. There's a duplicate option. So if you want a lot of these little people, if you want a lot of Grange logos for some reason, you can certainly do that. There is the delete option. And then there's also this little, what I call a hamburger menu, or the triple dots, that gives you a ton of options going down. Some of these we'll get to later. Some of them we won't talk about. But the one that I think is the most important here is this little middle section: send backwards, send to back, bring forward, bring to front. If you're working with something and you want it to now go behind an element that's already in, send backwards will drop it behind one layer. So now you see that the Grange logo, as I move it, is behind the travel agency text. It's also now behind the logo dude, which I'm going to delete that and delete that. So now the Grange logo is the primary thing that we have as far as logos go.
Phil?
Yes, Carolyn.
Somebody in the chat says they have problems with resolution when uploading photos.
Okay, so everything that's in the Grange logos folder is the correct resolution for you to use. I was actually on the National Grange website today and found some of the old ones that we have up there that are not the best resolution to use anymore. So I'm actually going to work with Stephanie tomorrow to work on those. One of your problems might be when you're downloading something from the internet, you need to make sure that you're actually looking at the highest quality image possible. Make sure you're not just downloading a thumbnail. The ideal size to upload into Canva is at least 300 pixels by 300 pixels, which is hard to explain, but that's the minimum ideal to put up here. Anything smaller than that, when you enlarge it like this, is going to get really blurry. But all of the Grange logos that are there, the emblems and other options, are all the correct size to use.
Bill?
Yes, Steve.
Are they a high enough resolution to use for like large banners?
They sure are. Everything that's up there is either in PNG or SVG format. The only one that's probably not high enough resolution to use is the one that's called Copy of Grange Youth Logo. And that's just because that's an older logo that I haven't had a chance to play with and make into a higher quality image yet.
Okay,
but everything there. Also, as Grange members, you guys have the full rights to use any of our logos, to take to printers. If a printer ever gives you guff about using our logos that do have that registered trademark on them, contact me. I can give you a letter that proves that you're a Grange member in good standing and have the right to use that. I know I've given one to at least Trisha, who's in here tonight. So if you need that from me, just let me know and I'll make it happen. I'm going to back out of this brochure because it's really busy, and I'm going to start with a blank flyer template for you. So in the upper right-hand corner, there's an option that says Create Design. which is generally where I actually start when I'm doing a design. And this has all of your sizes for things that you might be working on, from Instagram stories, infographics, brochures. You can scroll down this list. Logos, which we'll talk about in a little bit. You can use Canva to create video. I personally have never done that because I use iMovie, but you can, because you can download GIFs and or GIFs, whichever you would like to call them, from Canva as a video. Zoom virtual backgrounds, of course, are very popular. Steve and Carolyn both have theirs showing right now. So you can design a virtual background to use. But I'm going to take us to a flyer, which you also see the size of it here on the side as I'm hovering. So it's an 8.5 by 11 blank flyer. And we're going to start with a blank piece of paper. So does anybody have a topic they would like to see me turn this into? It could be Grange related. It doesn't have to be. Anybody?
How about a bake sale?
A bake sale. Love it. Okay, so I'm going to search here on the side. Mitch Klaus says Grange breakfast. We'll use that for the next one, Mitch, whenever we do our social media post. So bake sale in that search bar now on the left side. So you see a bunch of flyers already here, various templates. But a bake sale flyer, and we have a ton of options. I'm going to randomly grab that one and let it jump in. Doodle-doo. Great. Oops, sorry, I didn't mean to do that. So what we have here are a ton of different elements present in this design. We have the background, we have an inner block, we have our flags, some different words, fonts, and then of course 3 beautiful, delicious looking cupcakes. To edit text, all you have to do is double click on what's already here in the template box, and you'll see in the upper toolbar here, there is the option for fonts. And Canva, the free version, has about 60 fonts to choose from. The pro version has well over 200 fonts to choose from. The one thing I will ask you is, if you can't read it or you can't tell what it says, can a person that just like passing by, will they stop and look at it? I also, in the paid version, we have uploaded fonts. You have the option to do that in the paid version. So I also have our uploaded fonts, which is one of the perks of the paid version, is that we as the National Grange have paid to use these fonts. So this font might look familiar. This is our Good Day font. This font might look familiar. This is one that the American Value Hometown Roots, if I were to type that out here, well, if it wasn't all caps, the American Values, you know, that looks like a familiar font to you. We're going to go back. So it says bake sale again. And I'm going to look for a fun font. So the cool thing that Canva has as far as fonts go is that you have a way to search for fonts, and it has these categories as you're searching for a font. So there's a handwriting category, there's corporate display. I'm going to jump into we're going to go into headings and see what we can get here. This is one of my favorite fonts called Tallow Sands. I used that on something earlier this year. And I just like it because it looks a little more homemade. So I'm going to shift this into Sands. And as I'm moving it around, do you guys see the little triple dots that are showing up as I'm dragging it? That's going to let you know whether it's centered or not. So right now, my design is centered on the thing above it. I'm also going to shift this into the same font. And when you go backwards, the fonts that you've used most recently, well, usually show up, oh, there it is, show up here at the top of your font bar. To replace an image, it's pretty easy. You can just click on it and delete. So you can either use the delete button that pops up when you click on it, or actually delete. So I changed that. And what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to put my Grange logo there where that cupcake that I just deleted was. So I have a whole folder created of all of my different logos. So I'm going to use this one, which is our all black logo option. And I'm going to put that there. Carl, you're High Desert Grange, correct? Yes, okay, you're nodding. Okay. So because what I want to do and what I want to encourage you to do, and what I know Pete Pomper, where he on, would tell us to do, is that when you're creating a post or a flyer, please make sure to include your Grange, your name, number, and your location and state, if possible, especially when creating a social media post. So I clicked on this button on the sidebar that says text. I'm going to click add a text box, which is came up very thin for some reason. And I'm just going to type in High Desert Grange number 22, correct?
Correct.
Hey, I'm pretty good at that. And that's in Nevada. And there are two different ways to increase the size of your text. When you click on the box, you can either click on the corner and drag, and that will make your text larger, or in the upper size, you can change your font size the same way that you do in a standard, Word doc. So I'm going to make this size 24 to make it legible. And High Desert Grange, congratulations, you're now holding a bake sale according to this sign. I'm just going to leave Monday, the 8th of December, where it is. And then down here where it says raising funds for a new school hall is where you could put anything that you'd like, details about where it is, when it is, the kinds of things that you need to put up to have
Like a state Grange.
Yeah, like you could put your state Grange there. You can put raising funds for our community service projects, location at the community hall, whatever kind of verbiage you want to put there. That I'm not going to get into tonight because changing text is pretty simple. If you want to change colors on something, so I've got this corner or this background, and to change colors, the same color that's appearing on the background, there's this little color swatch in the upper corner. And so all you have to do is click on that. And again, I have my brand kit colors here already, but you can pick any color that pops up here. One of my favorite things is that you get this little bar of here's colors that are already used in your design. And one of my favorite ways to change colors, though, is to click on this little plus bar in the upper left-hand corner. And that gives you the hue selector tool. And in here, you can just click and drag through the various colors. So if you want it to be something in the red family, you can drag all the way to the right. And then there's also this little dot that kind of floats on the palette that you can now drag to try to find that exact shade of red that you want. So I went for Junior Grange red, more or less, on that. And then another cool thing that you can do with Canva is on certain elements that we'll pull up here in a little bit, you can also change the colors of the elements. So this pennant banner was in here before we started, but I can now edit it to make it Grange colors. So you'll see that a lot of what I post on the National Grange is in blues, yellows, and whites. Well, there's only really one white, but is in blues and yellows because they're pulled right out of the Grange emblem. So I love using this dark blue. Oh, that changed what was black, so I'm going to put that back to black. When I click on the pink, I'm going to change all the pinks to dark blue, and I'm going to change all these light yellows to our Grange yellow. So I'm just gonna rearrange some elements here to make them look a little fancier. Instead of a cupcake, I'm now gonna show you how to swap out graphics. So when I have, you don't even need to have the cupcake highlighted yet. I'm just gonna delete the cupcake. Carl, what kind of sweet good would you like to have at your fake bake sale?
Ice cream.
Ice cream. My favorite baked good, the ice cream. So over here on the left bar, I clicked on elements. And now you can search for a ton of different things that Canva has the option to grab. So I'm going to search for ice cream, which I have apparently searched for before. And it'll bring up anything. Canva pulls graphics from a ton of different stock sites. They're tied in with Adobe stock for sure, as well as some other graphic designers that are in here. And you have the options to pull graphics, photos, videos. There are audio options, which are pretty new. So if you're designing that video that we talked about earlier, and then there's some other things that we'll possibly touch on here later. I'm going to pick a graphic. So there are probably easily 1,000 different versions of ice cream cones. On days when I'm being really picky, I will sit and I will scroll through every one of these ice cream cone options until I find the exact ice cream cone option that I want. But I really feel like this one today. And again, I'm just going to click and drag the corner until I get it down to the size that I want. And you also have the option to kind of put it on an angle using the little circle bar. It has the arrows here on the bottom. I'm going to drag that. This one, you see when I click on this one, does not give me the color swatch option in the upper corner. So that means I can't edit the colors on this. So if I really wanted to make this a blue and white ice cream cone, I would keep scrolling through the graphic options until I found one that I both like the shape of and I can change the colors on. I'm not going to be super picky on this one right now because we're here. And then Mitch sent me a message and said he wants a brownie. So when you search brownie, you can find, again, there's hundreds of options here. If you saw 2 weeks ago was National Milk Day, and I used milk as the background. So I used a photo. So if you want to make this hyper realistic, you now have this lovely photo of the brownie. And I'm also going to use that position tool that I talked about earlier. And I'm going to make this brownie all the way at the front of my thing. So earlier you saw it was behind the word sale, and now it's in front of everything on my poster. So I'm going to drag that, and we're going to put that kind of sitting down here in front of that cupcake. I'm going to move the cupcake up a little bit to make it a little more visible. And now this looks like a fun, delicious poster. It's a little busy, but that's fine. I will say that don't judge yourself based on what you can create or think you should be able to create on Canva. I've been using it for 7 years. And there are times when I love what I create, and there are times when I go, wow, that was awful. And I delete everything that I did and I start over. There's no wrong way to use Canva. I just want you to be learning as you go. We only have about half an hour left. So I'm not going to be able to teach you everything there is to know about this. I encourage you to jump in and try as many things as possible. And just see what you can learn from it. I think what's going to be better than anything is just sitting down, taking an hour of your day, even a half hour sometimes, just to sit and play and see what you can find. I think worse than not trying, or worse than creating something bad, is to not try at all. Okay, Mitch wants me to create a Facebook post, which I will certainly do. Once you make the flyer, can it be sent to a newsletter program? Okay, let me show you how to download. Up here in the upper corner, there's this share option. whether you have the free version or the pro version, you have the option to download this as a bunch of different things. So Canva does offer you the option that if you don't have a Staples in your area, if you don't have access to something, a printer that you want to print 500 of these flyers, they do have a print option that you can send it to the Canva printer as well, which is kind of cool and will save you a ton of time and trips to Staples. But there's this download option, which when you click on, you can change the file type to a bunch of different things. The only one that is pro only is SVG, which is what you use for Cricut machines and some other things like InDesign. They really like SVG. Pro printers really love those. But you can download as a JPEG, which is great for sharing online. A PNG, which is great for having something that you can download and use in another design later. A PDF. PDFs are great to be sent into newsletter programs. And you have the option for standard, which is I'm just downloading a document and just going to use this to email to somebody, or the print option, which is how I download things that run in Good Day. Some of the things that I've downloaded are in this issue, in fact. So that I happen to have sitting beside me. And then you can, again, like I said earlier, download videos and GIFs, which I'm not going to get into tonight because that's like Canva 2.0. That's the 200 level class. And tonight we're in Canva 101. So I'm gonna, once you download it, you can then upload this to Facebook, to emails, wherever you need it to show up. So Mitch suggested I show a Facebook post. And Mitch, since you suggested a Facebook post, oh, we said Grange breakfast earlier. That's what we were gonna do. So I'm gonna, again, come back up here, start with my create a design. I'm picking my Facebook post. I'm gonna jump into my templates, which automatically showed up here on the side. And I'm going to search for breakfast and see what it gives me. Canva is geared toward businesses. So a lot of what you see in the templates is going to be geared toward business pros, but there's, I mean, Grange is a business. So I'm going to jump on this one because that looks delicious. Mitch, if your Grange breakfast looks like this, I'm coming over. So if you're making homemade croissants, anybody? But since we're starting with a photo, actually, I'm going to swap my template. And we're going to go to that one. I like that one better. So the first thing we're going to do is, again, we're going to come back to that logo. So you're going to go into your uploads. And I'm just going to scroll down through my uploads to show you the kinds of things that I've put up in here. Different things for Facebook posts, for social media. Somebody once asked me how to delete a Facebook page. So that's what all of these little screenshots are from, is I created a how to delete a Facebook page template. Paula, no, there is not a limit to how many downloads you can have a month. I looked at my usage from my one account just the other day, and I downloaded over 200 free images last year that I had created. So there's not a limit that I've ever encountered. So, because what I do is I download it and let it sit for a couple hours and look at it again, and then I'll go back and re-edit. So the free account certainly should be easy enough to use. It wasn't just you, Trisha, don't worry. There have been others who needed to delete Facebook pages for various reasons. Somebody created 3 of them by accident once. So I'm going to start here again, dropping that Grange logo in. I love this breakfast. I really hope that your Grange makes a breakfast that looks this great. So here is this banner. This banner is an option that you can look up. So when you click on elements and lines and shapes, There are all of these different options that you can use in here. It doesn't look like this particular banner's from this group. So I'm going to come back because I don't love the look of that banner. So I'm going to select, I search for my banner. I'm going to look under graphics and look at all of these different banner options you now have the access to. I'm going to use this one because I love a fancy banner. Mitch, what's your Grange name and number? While he's doing that. Oh, good. I have to change the color on that because that's white on white right now. And I'm going to show you a really cool text option that is kind of happening here, but they, for some reason, have really big. So when you click on your words, there's this option that pops up in the upper corner called effects. And you have the option to put your text on a curve. So what it does, if you want your text to be a circle for some reason, to go around an image, if you want it to just kind of have a slight curve, to kind of go with the flow of something, you have that option, or you can just go back to none where it'll just be flat. Other options you have in text, you have all of these little options. Neon just kind of adds this background glow. This shadow kind of gives you a lower rim, and you can pick the direction. You can pick what color your shadow is going to be. I'm going to give this a yellow shadow. No, that doesn't look right. I'm going to give this blue a beige shadow for some reason. I'm also going to make it bold. Here in the spacing option is one that I use a lot. The spacing option is the 3 lines in the arrow right beside your text. And this gives you the option to pick how far apart your letters are sideways and how close your lines are top to bottom. So I think this is spaced out a little too much for what we're doing here. So I'm going to kind of scroll it back in. Typically, I think 0 is the norm for all fonts. For this particular font, I'm going to scroll it out to about 80. And I'm going to pick a random Grange that I know is in here. So Hamburg Grange, congratulations, you're now having a breakfast. The nonprofit sign up is through, I'll have to get you that info. On the front page, on the initial login, I think there's some information about it. But you can also do a search for Canva nonprofit license, and that should give you the steps on how to go through the process. I'm going to email this out to everybody that's in the meeting tomorrow or whenever I get the video edited, and I'll make sure to include that info as well. And speaking of, everybody who's in here, please put your email address as well as your Grange name and number and state in the comments, because every Grange that signed in tonight, I'm going to design each of you your own personalized banner for your Facebook page as a thank you for being here. So we'll get to that here in just a little bit, but if you guys want to start dropping those in the comments
The
so
chat?
that I have a collection of all of those.
Okay.
Chat, comments, same thing. I don't know what my brain, it's starting to melt. Okay, so Hamburg Grange is having breakfast, so I'm going to keep editing this a little bit. As you click and drag things, you'll see these arrows pop up. I'm going to try to zoom in here so that you guys can see that a little better. So you see these kind of dotted lines show up. And this means that it'll show you what you're centered on. So this dotted line that right now is both vertical and horizontal is saying that I am perfectly centered on the element that's right behind it. So I like the size of the banner. I don't like how wide apart my lines are. So I'm going to come back up to that line spacing, and I'm just going to make them a little closer together. And boom. How about that? Okay, so Hamburg Grange. Now the word breakfast, I'm losing it a little bit. So this is where I'm going to come back to those effects that I was talking about. It does currently have a lift on it. The lift in the background is only ever white. So instead, I'm going to come back to this shadow option that I was showing you earlier. And I'm going to make this blue because, like I said earlier, that's one of my favorites. And I'm going to change the direction. So right now you see the shadows kind of coming from the top left to the bottom right. I'm going to make it go the other direction. There we go. So that way it stands out a little bit more against that white banner in the background. Of course, you do have the option to change the color of that white banner because when you click on it, you get the 2 color dots in the upper corner. Grange Breakfast will not be open Monday through Saturday. So this would be let's see, I'm going to say this is this coming Sunday. So it's a little late to be putting this on Facebook, but Sunday, January 29th from 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. Take out or eat in at the Hamburg Community Hall. I don't know if that's a real place or not, but now you see that the text kind of overran that plate. So you have the option, of course, to click and drag the plate. A lot of the Canva templates come with this thing at the bottom for realllygreatsite.com. So that you can change out for your Facebook page, for any website, for a contact. I'm not going to get into the content necessarily of what to put on here tonight, but instead to just kind of walk you through changing some things. So I'm going to pretend that this is facebook.com/Hamburg Grange. I still don't love this, so I'm going to change. The great thing about Canva is you can keep editing. And the other great thing about Canva is that it just keeps saving your design as you go. You have the option to undo as you go along. However, as soon as you exit completely out of a design and go back in, you don't have the option to undo anymore. You can only click and delete and drag. So you can only undo as long as you're in the edit stage, if that makes sense. Because as soon as you go back out and go back in, it thinks that you're starting all over. So I'd like that a little better. I'm going to drop this to that version. I would buy that breakfast. I might add the price to it, of course, or some other things. But again, now you have that option to share. If you are the primary owner of your Facebook page, one of the really cool things that you can do from Canva is that when you click that share button, because you designed a Facebook post, now you have this option for Facebook page that pops up. And I don't have my Facebook connected because this account would be connected to about 17 different Facebook pages. But it would be really easy for you to just add your Facebook page right in here. So you don't have to worry about downloading and re-uploading. It will share directly for you. It's a pretty cool content manager for you in that way. It's just one of the many things that Canva has to offer you. I'm going to take a quick detour from Canva. If you're using a pro account or a free account, sorry, you might not have the option for some of these graphics, some of these images. So I want to show you 4 different free websites that you can use to download images. So the first called Pixabay. And again, I will send out some notes in the YouTube video. I will have all these websites there for you. So if you don't want to write things down, don't worry about it. All of these websites work pretty much the same. And they all offer free stock photos. So you have the option to search for anything. So if you were using the free account and you wanted a breakfast picture, because you couldn't find the right one that was a free option to you, you could go on Pixabay, you can search for breakfast food, look, it pops right up there as an option. And now you have all of these free foods. I really love this one. So you click on it, you have your free download license on the side. This one says no attribution required, which means nowhere on the post do you have to say where you even found the picture. So I'm going to free download this. It gives you several options. The larger, the better as far as resolution goes. So I'm going to download that one. I'm not a robot. I'm not logged in. Download that. So if I came back to Canva, came back into that breakfast post, I'm going to click and drag and put that right in there. It'll take a little bit to upload. And then you have the option, once it's loaded, to use it in your post. So that's one of the options that you can use for website. So that was Pixabay. Some of these will say like, please attribute to so-and-so, which actually in the last edition of Good Day, well, here, I'll show you first the next website where I got this one. So the next one's called Unsplash. Pretty much looks the same as Pixabay because I think they pull from the same sources. So this one has all sorts of things. So one thing that I pulled here earlier today was I went to agriculture. I was picking the cover for our next journal of proceedings today, and I picked this lovely one of wine country in California as the cover for our journal of proceedings. So I downloaded this image, I took it to Canva, and I created our journal of proceedings cover with it. Grabbed a high-res image that was simple, effective, showed off who we are as an agricultural organization. If you don't know that it's wine, it could be any crop kind of growing there. But I wanted something kind of visually eye-catching that we would remember. But I also, earlier this year in Good Day, pulled this photo. Well, let me turn off my blur. This photo was an Unsplash photo. And so if you received Good Day magazine, this is June Unruh's poem, The Beauty of a Winter's Day. And in the very bottom corner, which I don't think I'll be able to get close, but oh, there you go. Photo courtesy of, quote, Tony L on Unsplash. So on certain graphics, when you go to download, download free. So it says, please credit photo by Adele Payman on Unsplash. So you just have to have that somewhere on your graphic. I will have this on the inside of the journal of proceedings to say that's where we got our picture from. The next website is called Pexels. So PEXELS.com. Again, works pretty much exactly the same as all the others have. And the last one is freepick.com. Which again works exactly the same. This one, I like FreePick because you do have the option to find templates on FreePick, and FreePick tends to also have more graphic options, meaning hand-drawn, watercolor style, rather than just photos. The other three, Pixabay, Unsplash, and Pexels, are really heavy just on stock photos. This one has a little bit more as far as what you can find. But if you're designing on Canva and you don't know what to design, but you want to put something on your Facebook post, if you go to bit.ly/Grange23 calendar, we'll bring you to our social media calendar that I created. And what this has on it is a bunch of different holidays that you could create a Facebook post for. I do create many of these for the National Grange Facebook page, but this is just a way to give you some ideas on something that you can create. So this is housed in Google Drive, easy to download. Today, January 25th, the only thing on there is, hey, we had a communication Zoom-torial tonight at 8:30 p.m. Eastern. This Saturday is Seed Swap Day, and you'll see that I did create in Canva this afternoon. If I could get back to Canva, our Seed Swap Day post. So this is again something that I created in Canva. You'll see up on our Facebook later this week. Just something, you know, eye-catching, effective. You don't need to recreate the wheel every time that you're in Canva. If you find a template that works for you and you want to use that for every post from here to eternity, go right ahead. It's something that would help brand your Grange to say our posts will always look like this. I know Jen Noss is on here. She's a lecturer here in Pennsylvania. And as we've been doing our 150 years of service, or sorry, 150 acts of service, celebrating our 150th anniversary, she's had a template that she uses for every one of those posts. So every time it pops up, I know exactly what kind of post I'm looking at before I've even started reading it, which is a really great way to help brand your image. Okay, with about 5 minutes left, this is the crashiest of crash courses, and I will do another Canva Zoom-torial later on some trickier elements. Is there anything you want me to show you in the time that we have remaining? Again, pop in and play. Let me show you one really cool thing. And the reason that I love the Pro version and will recommend the Pro version for anybody from here to the end of time, this option alone is worth $119. If you're uploading an image that has a background that you don't love, there's a background remover tool. If you don't have, yes, Rebecca, this is a play with to learn program for sure. If you don't have the Pro version, let me create a new page here so that delete all of this, go away. There we go. If you have a background that you don't love, so when we were doing the Raised Right Here t-shirt fundraiser, which we're going to be relaunching soon again, so if you have color choices or design options that you would like to see, please let me know. When you go to edit image, there's this lovely background remover tool. I don't have the patience for Photoshop. I will not take this to Photoshop. I would live with that awful background if I didn't have this. But by one click of the button, I've now lost that white square that was in the background. I can now use this more, well, not a headless guy. I probably wouldn't use him very often, but I can use this in ways that I can't use the graphic that has that background box on it. There are tons of different things that you can do with this. You can edit the colors. Because it is Photoshop for Dummies, I'm gonna make that guy big. You can adjust the brightness on photos. So if you're uploading photos that are too dark, if you're uploading photos that aren't going to look great, you can, you know, change that brightness a little bit. This is really great for if you're doing a newsletter, for example, that's going to get downloaded and printed. To increase that brightness a little bit will make it print a little cleaner, especially if you're going to make copies. You can change the tint, so you can change the full color of the photo. The vignette will kind of add, you know, that honing in on it. I wouldn't recommend adding too many of any of these options to any of your posts, but they're all there to help you increase your likelihood of using them. As you scroll through our Facebook page, I'd love for you to be like, I recognize that that's a Canva post. The last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to start designing your Facebook banner for you. So I'm going to go create a design. I'm going to do a Facebook cover. So one thing that I like to look for when I'm designing generic posts, knowing that we are a rural organization, a more rustic organization, is I like to pull those homey, earthy feel to some of our posts. Our Valentine's Day post that's coming up, for example, has barnwood in the background. So that's actually what I'm going to start with here. Let's do white barnwood and see what I get. So here in the photo section of my search has given me a ton of options right away for barnwood. I like that one. What do we think? Maybe not.
I like the one with the sunflower seeds, because
One with the sunflowers up the side?
sunflowers, when they can't face the sun, they turn towards each other. And isn't that what us Grangers do? We
Is
turn
what we do.
towards each other.
I knew I liked you, Carolyn. Okay, so I'm going to increase that to the size of our box. And actually, I'm going to make it a little bigger because I don't want all the sunflowers taking up all the space. So I've now expanded it past the box so that it'll fit in here. I'm now going to put a logo in here. Wrong logos folder. Let's try that folder. I don't see the one that I want. There it is. So everybody that tuned in tonight, you will end up with a version of this banner made for you and your Grange that you can take straight to Facebook and apply it as your Facebook cover header if you would like to. So, for example, I happen to see that Doug just commented, and I'm going to use our Good Day font for now until I decide if the 501c3 that supports the 24 Granges. So that's a good question, Louise. I would think you would all have the right to use it. There are team options. The team options are more expensive. We have a team option because I use this, Amanda uses it, and then we have a third kind of floating one that the Grange fellows use, or the communication fellows use. But with the 501c3, I mean, if you all wanted to use the same account, I don't have a problem with that. And I don't think Canva does either, because they're happy that people are using it. No, Trisha, you don't need the paid option. As long as you download the Grange logos out of that Google Drive, you can upload them straight into the free version. I'm going to stop sharing because I'll finish designing that tomorrow. So do you guys have any other questions? Anything you wish I had covered? I realize it's a 1-hour crash course. I just encourage you to jump in and play. That's how I learned Canva. The things that I designed in 2016 do not look nearly as good as the things that I design now in 2023. And that's just because I've had 7 years of jumping in and playing and trying different things. There's nothing that you can't undo in Canva, which is great. So if you make a mistake, nothing's permanent, and we don't need to see. If you think it was bad, you don't need to publish it. In fact, this design was also made in Canva. So there's no shortage of things that it's helpful for. I use it for my local Grange newsletter rather than laying out an InDesign. I've done a ton of different advertisements and logos and things through Canva. And I just encourage you to start with a template. Rather than having to design everything from the ground up in every post, go searching through those templates to find something that's close to something that you want, so that all you have to do is change the text on it or add a Grange logo into it. I just want you guys to be comfortable. And if you have questions, that's what I'm here for. Feel free to text me, call me, email me. Don't do it after 9 p.m. Eastern because I will not answer you to the next morning. Um, unless you're Chris, because she's special. Uh, so thank you all for being here. I'm going to hang out for a little bit. If you guys have some questions, I will make sure that you all get your personalized cover photos here. That's kind of your perk for being here tonight and participating. And there will be a very limited edition of those because I will not make them for anybody that wasn't on tonight. And I have that list. So feel free to hang around for a little bit if you guys have questions. And I will probably do Canva again in March. Yes. And talk about some of the other options that you can do with it. I might show, you know, a newsletter, a couple of those other options that Grange just have the ability to do.